What's up, y'all? This is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way you watch basketball. In this series, we're going to be covering every single prospect in the upcoming NBA draft. Some of which you may already know, however, there are going to be numerous hidden gems we explore in the coming weeks. In today's episode, we're going to explore the 6'6.5" wing out of Australia, Trentyn Flowers. Now let's discuss Trentyn Flowers' offensive strengths. His first offensive strength is the fact that he has really good instincts at pushing in transition. While he only averaged 1 point per possession in transition, which is a touch low, it is very clearly what he liked to do. The reason it was only 1 point was more a reflection on his other weaknesses, not his ability to push. Secondly, he's an extremely good athlete where he finished the second in the draft in vertical leap and finished extremely high in all of the running drills. Finally, I think he could become an okay shooter, however time will tell. He shot 39% last season, however it was on extremely limited volume. I think with time, we're going to be able to see how good of a shooter he really is. Unfortunately, there are still a plethora of weaknesses that Trentyn Flowers has to work on. The first of which is the fact that he has an extremely loose handle. While I do think he possesses and shows flashes of some guard skills, there are also stretches where his handle just gets lost. He had a .43 assist to turnover ratio, which is a massive cause for concern. Secondly, he's a pretty poor finisher at the rim as he struggles to deal with contact and looks to avoid it at all costs. This forces him to take more difficult shots, which he frequently misses, which is why he finished in the 15th percentile on layups. Next, he does not do the best job attacking closeouts, and he really doesn't think to do it at all. This is more random of a criticism, but I literally didn't see a single good clip of him attacking a closeout, and I didn't necessarily see a uniquely bad one, but I just hate not seeing him think to do it. Finally, he really struggles to run a pick and roll offense, where he had .571 points per possession in the pick and roll. That's way too low, and in the NBA, when you're calling these screens, it just has to be better. Now, let's get into the film and watch Flowers play. On this possession, Flowers is going to get the ball, push extremely hard, and then have a nice dunk finish. This was in a preseason game, and the defense isn't trying that much, but I love this burst here and a great dunk. These plays do look relatively simple, however, him running hard is exciting. Right here, he does a really nice job doing the same thing. A couple of things to note on this possession is look how fast he's accelerating. When he starts, he's about even with these two guys right here. Maybe he has a nose ahead, but not by that much. He accelerates by him. This second guy, this guy ends up having to basically give up because he's not fast enough. This guy actually does a good job poking the ball out, showcasing his looser handle, but Flowers recovers and makes an awesome dump-off pass. On this possession, Flowers is once again going to push in transition. Right here, he dribbles extremely well, but is completely out of control. It doesn't matter if you're able to run fast if you can't finish while also going fast. On this possession, Flowers once again showcases the fact that he's wary of contact. First of which, if Flowers wanted, he could jump stop and shovel it to this guy for an easy dunk. But if he wants to score on his own, he needs to jump into this guy with a little bit more power, and Flowers is clearly bothered and throws up a shot. He just needs more muscle. On this next possession, Flowers isn't going to have the ball, but he's going to run hard to space and get an open three. Most players can make those, however, it's good to see. Now let's watch Trentyn Flowers in screening actions. Right here, Flowers is going to come off the DHO, turn the corner, and just look at this athleticism. This is why he's going to get drafted, because of plays like that one. On this possession, Flowers is once again involved in a screening action. He gets the handoff and has a nice extended finish. With good length and size, it allows him to make shots such as that one. Unfortunately, he just is not good with contact. Right here, he gets hit and then just flings it up immediately after with an awkward off-balance floater. On this possession, Flowers is once again going to call for a ball screen. He comes off a DHO, he makes multiple moves against NBA prospect Alex Sarr, but just doesn't get by him at all, and it leads to a soft finish. On this next possession, Flowers is looking to be able to create a shot coming off of a dribble handoff. Flowers comes off right here, gets a shot, but is unable to knock it down. I like the fact that he came off this with pace, and it's a really good read. If they're gonna go under or try to go this way, you should shoot it every single time. And then if they chase the DHO, you should go downhill. So Flowers makes a nice read here, but he just doesn't make the shot. Now let's watch a little bit of Trentyn Flowers in isolation. Right here, Flowers is standing in the corner. He gets the ball and then refuses a ball screen first and gets a 2-foot finish. Really nice stuff. Right here, it's another play with Flowers getting the ball, and he spins and knocks down a touch shot. Unfortunately, time and time again, Flowers is soft. Right here, Flowers gets the ball in the corner, tries to back down his man, but it just leads to an out of control, awkward luck. Speaking of out of control, let's look at this next possession. Flowers is going fast, pushing the pace. However, right here, he just dribbles into the help. You have a wide open cutter right here that you should have hit for a pass probably a second earlier even than this, hit him right here. But then instead lets dribble into his own man. And even right here, with this guy coming over, you've got this pass, you can control the ball. That is just not acceptable. Right here, Flowers is going to get the ball in isolation again, where he's going to showcase that loose handle I mentioned earlier. He tries to get by his man, but once again doesn't have his head up, and he doesn't recognize the fact that this guy right here is not playing close to his man, is instead helping this way. What his team should have done is sent this guy over, and then you should have hit him right here. And even if this player isn't an open, a good shooter because he is a big man, or I think he is, I'm actually not exactly sure, but he could then send this guy into the corner and then have an empty DHO right here where these guys can come here, and maybe after you set a flare screen or a hammer screen here and then move this guy from the corner, lift him up here. So that's what you could have done on this possession. It's a lot of movement, a lot of drawing, probably a little complicated, but that is a better decision than dribbling into the gap. And that's just what you do if he's not a shooter. If he is a shooter, then just let him take a shot. But a quick pass into a dribble handoff right there would be a lot better. Instead, he dribbles into the help and it's a turnover. On this possession, once again, Flowers is going to dribble into bad situations. Right here, Flowers deals with heavy pressure, refuses to pass to a wide open man right here, who literally looks frustrated. He puts his arms out what are we doing? And then tries to make this pass. These are the types of plays that just aren't acceptable. I think NBA teams are going to coach this out of him, and I do think he has a lot of raw talent, but I just want to emphasize how raw he is. Right here, he comes off a screen and makes a nice floater. On this possession, he's going to come off of a flare screen. However, when he doesn't initially get by his man, he tries backing him down, which is not a recipe for success for Flowers, and he takes a bad shot. Speaking of him coming off of screens, this is a way he's going to score in the NBA, or it's plays like this. He's going to come off this chin screen and have a sick lob dunk. So this screen right here brushes this guy, and then boom, we're on SportsCenter. Now let's watch a little bit of Flowers in the half-court catch-and-shoot situations before we move on to defense. Simple play right there, catch, knock it down. I think it's good to look at these types of players' shot chart and shot like ratio just to see the things that they like. And he shot a good percentage, but it's still hard to tell. His shot doesn't look amazing, but he shot a good percentage and it doesn't look awful either. On this next possession, he's going to miss a three. Once again, just trying to get you more of a feel of how he can shoot. It's a little bit of a slow gather, which I don't love, but I actually like the follow through. Right here, Flowers is going to start, but once again, showcasing how raw he still is. He's cutting basically into this guy who's also cutting in this same direction. He recognizes this though and bumps back here and gets an open look, so great response. Now that we've talked about Flowers' offense, let's discuss his defensive strengths. The first of which is the fact that he has good size with 6'6.5" inches on him. I think a lot of teams may consider putting him at the 2 or the 3 where he'd have good length, but he'd particularly have good length as a 2 and maybe even a 1 as a guard. I know he's listed as a forward right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if a team wants to play him at the 2. Secondly, he has shown flashes of being a good driving line defender when he is engaged, but I want to emphasize this is flashes, not the norm. There are still some defensive weaknesses to Flowers' game that caused some major concern. The first of which is he needs to improve his footwork, as at times he's jumpy, he changes direction too much, and also has low points of contact and stretches. Secondly, he is really bad on and off ball screen navigation. As I mentioned earlier, he's not physical, which means he's not going to fight through these screens, and it leads to easy baskets for opponents. Finally, he just needs to improve his overall defensive awareness, as there are stretches where he just doesn't even look like he's looking or thinking about the fact that he has a man he has to guard. Now, let's move on and watch Trentyn Flowers defensively. On this possession, we're going to see some of those flashes I mentioned earlier, where right here, he stays in front of his man and is able to lead to a turnover. While this is in a preseason game, he's competing, and I love to see it. On this next possession, we're going to see even more from Flowers. Right here, he initially goes under the screen, but then it becomes decent but not great driving line defense. Right here on this possession, Flowers is going to showcase some pretty bad driving line defense. Flowers is playing behind his man, bad footwork, and just gets beat. On this next possession, he's going to be in isolation where he's also beat. These are the types of plays that need to be improved. Right here, he's going to deal with this first off, this double screen, which he struggles to navigate through. And then he's going to deal with his man refusing after getting this DHO, and he completely opens up. He gives his man a path right towards the basket, and like right here, he's not trying to get in front of his guy, he's just guiding him to the basket, and it becomes an easy layup. We're going to see even more right here with a screen in transition, and the refuse gets him, and it leads to a really open opportunity. Not only are refuses what's getting him, sometimes he just struggles to navigate. As you see right here, he's clipped. There are a couple of things that are wrong with this. Firstly, you need to be getting into your man almost at like this angle to force him to use the screen while also being able to fight over the screen yourself. So you need to do two things. He doesn't do either. Secondly, once you're clipped, I like fighting back, but we need to be under control. And I know he's kind of flung there, but it becomes a foul. On this next possession, he's going to go under a ball screen. He goes over the first one, but then the second time he goes under, and when you go under such as this, it leads to a wide open opportunity. On this next clip, we're going to see him once again struggle to deal with screen navigation. Right here, Flowers gets clipped, is taken out of the play, and is unable to recover. Flowers also is not great when off-ball screens occur. Right here, Flowers first off is elite paying attention to his man. His man has already gotten multiple steps behind him when Flowers runs. Flowers is clipped by not one, but 2 off-ball screens, and then is unable to make any sort of impact, and it becomes a 3. Right here, it's another instance. Flowers is first off late running. He gets clipped and is unable to make anything happen, and it's the same issue where he's out of control and he tries to fight back, but it's just extremely raw. Right here, it's even more bad screen navigation. Flowers is going to first off try to go under this screen, and then he has a horrible closeout, which leads to a foul. Flowers also struggles just playing simple off-ball defense. Right here, Flowers is going to be playing. He really should be closer right now to like here, but you need to already be there so you can be in to out. Right now he's out. Now he makes an attempt at going in, which is way too late, and then he's late coming back out. You want to go in to out. Flowers was just out to in, and he never had the out, and he should not have been out in the first place. And so it leads to a wide open corner 3, and he's lucky it was a miss. On this next clip, it's going to be another similar thing. Flowers should be in a position where he's going to have to close out on this possession. Right here, Flowers is probably a step high to the ball, and the reason why I say is a step high is just because of time and score. Flowers should probably be about here, and then when this pass is thrown, the second like the ball is like here, or even he looks like he's going to pass, you want to start inching forward this way and come in a full sprint. He doesn't really make that much of an effort at all, and we need better talk here. When you see this happening, you gotta know time and score. 3 seconds on the shot clock, you should just have this guy run at him if Flowers isn't gonna get there. But better talk would be huge. Overall, Trentyn Flowers is going to be a project. I understand the hype because it's 6'6.5" inches and having the vertical he does while also being quick and only being 19 years old and showing flashes of just a little bit can get scouts excited. However, I think he has a lot longer to go than most people would expect. For example, I think that most players by this time would have started to create some sort of finishing around the rim. Secondly, I think that they would have like maybe an idea of the type of play style that they have, and I feel like Flowers at times is kind of all over the place. I think that he doesn't get many minutes in the NBL, and so many of them were garbage time minutes, so it's hard to fully evaluate who he is as a player. From what I've seen, I think there are flashes that I really like, but there's a lot of things that need to be worked on. The good thing is, he seems to be somebody that has a pretty good attitude, and from why he is being drafted, or potentially being drafted, is because scouts like what they've seen in those flashes and they believe in him. So, when looking at what his career could be like, I think he's kind of all over the place. I saw Kevin O'Connor compare him to Kelly Oubre. I really disagree with that take. I don't necessarily see him being the type of shooter that Kelly Oubre was. I also think Flowers is the type of player that's going to rely on his speed much more than a player like Oubre does. While Oubre and him both share a very high vertical leap, having that same speed difference is what I think sets Flowers, makes his style of play different. I think Flowers is going to be the type of guy that you probably have as like an energy guy, as an 8th man on your team. I don't think he's necessarily ever going to be capable of running an offense, but if you bring him in as an energy guy, maybe he becomes a better defender and you just use his athleticism, improve the shooting, not necessarily from a percentage standpoint, but just getting up more shots and have him play fast. All of a sudden, we're talking about a really good backup, and if he becomes a consistent, stays at 39% shooting, but just shoots at a higher volume, and then continues to have his speed and develops defense, we're talking about somebody that could maybe, at his 99th percentile outcome, sneak into a couple good starting lineups, which is really awesome to see. As far as what his floor is, he also is the type of guy that could so easily get washed out of the NBA in a year or two, just because he is so raw, and if he doesn't get put into a situation where he could succeed, he could very easily fail. And I also think because he's more likely than not going to be a second round pick, you don't get as much leeway from coaches. They don't invest as much in you. So he's going to have to make major showcases of his potential within his first year if he wants to be successful. Overall, if Flowers is able to do that, I think he could be a solid player. That's my take, and thanks for watching another episode of The Rim Review.